Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. So we watched The Next Doctor last night. Here's the thing about Doctor Who when it's in that sort of specials format that we periodically get. When the BBC clearly want to retain the hot property that is Doctor... Well, I say hot property sometimes, most of the time, some of the time. The pressure on each individual episode to be awesome is so high that anything less than awesome, I think, sometimes feels like a disappointment for fans. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that. And maybe for a lot of your average TV viewer, that doesn't matter quite so much because it's just that silly programme with the box and stuff like that, isn't it? But the reason I'm saying this is because I seem to remember The Next Doctor, when it was on, being a little bit of a letdown, quite frankly. Now, I know I'm getting looked at by the family here. I had a brief conversation with a lovely young man at my school today, who's in year 9. And I went up to him and said, I said, what do you think of The Next Doctor? Because he's a good Doctor Who fan, he knows all this stuff. I said, what do you think of The Next Doctor? And he said, it's all right. And that's right, it's all right. I think it's probably better than all right, actually. I think The Next Doctor's actually pretty good. And I really enjoyed watching it again after all this time. I do have a slight issue with it, which is, if you're going to call the story The Next Doctor, I really think that Jackson Lake should have featured a little bit more heavily in the denouement of it. Because he was really, really good. David Morrissey, I've got a great affection for David Morrissey as an actor. I think he always gives really convincing, really sincere, solid performances. And I don't mean solid in a negative way there. I mean, genuinely, when he's on screen, in whatever I've ever seen him in, he's been somebody who's your attention radiates to him.
Dad,
yes?
would you be happy if later on we got a David Morrissey as the Doctor?
Well, I was going to say about this, I think he would have been a great Doctor, and I think that he was a really inspired bit of casting to do this particular part, because it couldn't just be your average Joe. Not that there's anything about, it's one of the things about Doctor Who, we're all unique, aren't we? We're all special. But there was something about the character of Jackson Lake that lent itself to being a faux Doctor for a little bit. And just as a little aside, me and Lib were reminiscing about this yesterday. I remember all the press interviews he was doing before the Christmas episode where people were saying, and he was, what a hospital pass it was to give to him. This programme that you're going to be in for 1 hour of your life, for 1 hour of the programme's life, it's called The Next Doctor. Are you the next Doctor? How do you field that question as David Morrissey? But bless him, he did. And he went out to bat for the programme. And I think it was a great performance. So I really enjoyed the whole concept of it. I think it was really sweet. I think he was a really nice character. And like I say, he was so good in that role that I just wish he featured a little bit more heavily at the end. I wish he went up in the balloon. Surely I wanted to see him in the balloon. I wanted to see Anyway, that's by the by. It's something that just let the programme didn't quite shine as much as it wanted to at the end. I have to say this, though. I think it's a brilliant Cybermen story. Now, Cybermen, as we know on this channel... Yeah, cyber shades. Let's never speak of those again. What is all that about? I mean, the little scurrying sort of furry things. Did you not like them because you found them scary, or?
No, but just weird.
Yeah.
Like when you get a view from them, it's just.
Yeah, and that just didn't work for me. So let's move on. I know that RTD's trying something new. That's fine. We've already got Cybermats. We don't need furry Cybermen. The actual menace of the Cybermen, though, was very, very real. Winnie felt it, and it was a very keenly... there was the sort of resonance that the Cybermen should always have, but more often than not don't have. And I really felt, as a Cybermen story, it was good. The real glory of this Cybermen story, though, was, and you have to say the name again, Dervla Kerwin. Come in, Humphrey. Dervla Kerwin.
Dully.
Thank you, darling. Dervla Cohen, I thought, was absolutely fantastic in this episode. And Liv's disagreeing with me. She was hot property at the time on the TV. She was somebody who had really resonated with the public consciousness. And I think that role had a lot going for it. And I am disappointed that has never come back. Genuinely, it's not often I say that. But you compare her to Lumic. I mean, what was Lumic all about? She had, in the Rise of the Cybermen, The Age of Steel, the guy in the wheelchair, the not Davros, in the first David Tennant Cyberman story. Exactly. Yeah, Trigger. No. Well, we can disagree. So I really enjoyed that. I thought she was absolutely brilliant and brought a sort of a new side to the Cybermen that completely blew the cyber shades out of the water, all that kind of nonsense, all that kind of
The
thing.
cyber shades are good though. Like they add when you first see one and you're like, what is that?
Well, that's fair, but I just don't think they hold true. Anyway, overall story, Christmas episode, Victorian London, Christmas, chestnuts, yada, yada, yada. Loving all that. Hot air balloon. I just love the next Doctor conceit. I think it's a really charming idea. As I say, though, I mean, this works well as a Christmas story. Happy Christmas, by the way. It works well as a Christmas story. I just feel that, and this leans it, I'm going to finish up now, but I've got to say this. This Doctor is way too cocky for their own good, and the programme's way too cocky about this Doctor for its own good. And what this episode needed was David Morris's character saving the day to a much greater extent at the end, but it can't, because this Doctor's bigger than big at the moment. This Doctor is the biggest thing going. Foreshadowing.
Which Doctor are you talking about?
Tennant. Like, the programme completely... The programme is completely obsessed, and the Doctor is almost so obsessed. That bit at the end, they break my heart. Grow up, Doctor. You broke thousands of hearts over these. Oh, they break my heart. Oh, they always leave this, that, and the other. I'm glad he stayed for the Christmas dinner, but this Doctor, I tell you what, he's due a fall. His comeuppance will be comeupping. That's what I feel about that. Anything else, family? No.
I think the Doctor's companion was interesting.
Oh, what, Rosita?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I liked it when the Doctor goes, good name. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, she was really good, actually. They made a right good pair. Tell you the other thing I thought about this. Why didn't Madame Vastra and Strax and Jenny come and help?
Strax.
You've not seen Matt Smith's series, have you?
Strax.
Oh, we can talk about that later.
Strax. Wait, Strax, isn't he a Sontaran?
He is.